Welcome to Farm Connections with your host, Dan Hoffman.
Technology is changing at a rapid pace. Adam Heimer from John Deere presented information on some of the new tools available to producers. Adam Heimer, welcome to Farm Connections.
Good to be here.
Well, this is part of the Ag Summit at the historic Hormel home in Austin, Minnesota, and you've been invited to talk about technology to the group, and you gave a great presentation. Why is technology important to agriculture?
I think technology is going to allow us to advance in agriculture because it'll allow customers to do all their production practices faster, more efficiently, and make better use of inputs with the use of technology. Using the inputs more wisely where they should be, and maybe reducing inputs where they're not needed.
And how is your company using technology?
I've been using technology for the past 10 to 15 years to gather data, yield data, drive straighter in the field, reducing overlap with some of our products, Autotrack, swath control, reducing inputs, less wastage. Also doing prescriptions as far as putting the right products in the right locations of the field. So we've been using it for 15 years, and I guess the sky's the limit. There's probably products that we haven't even thought of yet that we'll come up with in the next 10 to 15 years. So.
Well, I hope you bring some new ideas.
And we will.
Well, you talked about reducing inputs by using the technology. Let's use a planting operation and your technology and your operations center. How would that help us cut down on seed use, chemical use, fertilizer use, and fuel?
One of the products we have is Swath Control Pro is what we call it. We can reduce overlap of seed at the end of the headland, placing that seed within inches of where it should be. Basically there we're reducing seed inputs because we're not overlapping where the planter shouldn't be planting, and also we're increasing yields because when we overlap with corn, we basically reduce yields by probably 50 to 75%. So when we don't overlap, we get more yield there. Same thing goes with a chemical and a sprayer. There's no need to overlap or spray chemical where it doesn't need to be. So reducing chemical usage, reducing costs, reducing the effect on the environment. Other things as far as prescription goes and planters, putting more seeds where they should be and less where they don't need to be. Just take an example for irrigated corn, putting less corn in the corners of an irrigator. There's no need for that corn to be there, probably not going to produce it, and putting more where it should be, like on the center of an irrigator, for example.
Well, that makes it sound like agriculture is very exciting. Do you enjoy your job?
Very much so. When I first started 10 years ago, the first product that we were coming out with was Autotrack, and it was kind of an eye-opener that we could drive a tractor straight without touching the wheel, and now that's commonplace. So it's fun to look at customers and see the excitement in their eyes when they can't believe you can do something such as drive a tractor without steering, or let the planter put seed where it needs to be all without touching anything, and letting all the computers do all the work. So very exciting.
Well, you mentioned Autotrack, and that sounded like a luxury or an add-on at one point. Does it at some point then become a necessity or basically a benchmark standard?
I would completely agree. It's almost a necessity in order to run all these other applications. Like I said in my speech, there's a big crackdown in texting and driving. It's distracted driving, right? If I was going to try to be running all the monitors and everything in a tractor cab without having the tractor drive itself, there's no way I'd be able to do all those things at once. So it's taking the stress off the operator, it's getting the job done and letting you concentrate on some other things that are going on. So.
Well, as you mentioned data collection for 15 years and using this technology, I think about researchers who tell me that as we get repetition, our numbers are more accurate and we can believe in them. Is that true?
I would completely agree with that. 1 year's worth of data or one spot of data probably doesn't mean much because there's lots of different factors, weather, moisture, all that stuff goes into varieties, different soil types. So one spot of data really doesn't tell us a lot, but if we can gather data over time and we can see, patterns coming out of that data, that gives us a lot better confidence in the decisions we're making decisions for the future. So.
Well, we hear a lot about big data, and of course you've outlined the many, many positive things that can happen from that: profitability to the farm, less inputs, and good technology can help the product develop and be in a better marketplace in the future. How do you collect the data to be used to come back to your company to make the product better?
One way we use that is with machine data We can see how machines are operating, what their peak efficiency is. Just problems that may arise, we can cut those off at the pass before it affects anyone else. It's mostly in machine efficiency to see how people are using them so we can make a better product and a product they're happier with and fulfill some of those things that maybe we haven't thought of that customers would want as well.
How about labor or the people that are using technology? Where do you go to find employees?
That's probably the most challenging part. Community colleges, wherever we can find them. We have, tech programs. We're constantly looking, at good ag schools to find people. We'll find them from all walks of life, but primarily looking at good ag schools that provide students that have some knowledge of agriculture, but also have some knowledge of technology as well, to kind of put that together.
What do you think is going to happen in the future with farming and technology?
I think it's, technology is going to continue to grow. I think that's the path we're headed down, and I think we see it already. A lot of people say we're making better decisions based off of this information. Remote sensing and Autotrack and swath control and making prescriptions. I just see that as the way of the future, and in order to feed 9 billion people by the year 2050, we're going to have to get more out of the same amount of land. So we're not going to do that just by status quo, I guess.
Thanks for sharing, Adam, and what an exciting future for you and your company and all of agriculture.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us.